At least that's what he says. I'm tired of getting beat up for things like that. Between, again, I'm so tired of being la mano pesada. Mi mamá trabaja mucho y a veces voy con ella. Entonces, this is where estoy. Like some of the kids on my block, except my family could not afford vacaciones con la familia. We're not the only ones. La casa de mi tío es la única casa que no cambia. Sometimes I see my padrino ahí. Es un milagro que me recuerdo. I knew what colors were safe to wear on the streets. ¿Cuántos other lugares son similar? My favorite shirt causa problemas y no quiero pelear. Estoy cansado. Cansado porque trabajé all night and play video games and listen to music y me la jalé. Instead of always poniéndome las pilas. 3 different dads to split us. There are prizes and jokes for los güeritos y los morenitos. Nos quiere a todos igual. Pero por eso siempre trabajan and learn the street business. This kept us safe in our neighborhood. We couldn't tell the vecinos. The further we go. Pero uno sabe lo que pasa en el barrio. Según la raza, supports each other. Nunca dejaré de creer esto. Perhaps, but maybe not the ones who stole your CD case. Full of the songs we play cuando limpiamos la casa. Y también tienes los ruidos de los punks y los cholos. Los cholos nos ayudan when it was in their favor. So sometimes I was cool to be seen with the veteranos. But the new kids have to see with them. Si no, ponte el visto porque te vistes diferente. La ropa de la segunda before it was trendy. At the end of the day, we all end up with fucked up shoes. But clean shoes fue como algo distinto. Las marcas más chidas nos hacen sentir chingón because it means so much for it to be worn on our bodies. Los pisan o que los roban. If you're in the wrong alley, the alleys were a whole other world. ¿Tienes pasaporte? No passport needed, but you might pay in a different way. A place where you have to stay trucha. Hasta los paisas eran malandros o calientes. Los que se quedan con nosotros, they're not that bad. Maybe because they know who we know. Maybe because trabajan y están cansados, están de ganas de nada. Ganas nos sobran. Lo que necesitamos. Lo que vemos es nuestra reality. We can do what we can to change for good or for la vergüenza. Las canciones de los americanos. Las canciones que gritan like my frustration. It's not mine alone. I've seen it in the faces of los mensos in class. Vamos a clase para cambiar todo. I thought, yeah, mom. Una that's the goal. There's no home for me. Pura tierra. Or so it feels cuando entro al escenario, todos con sus pelos parados y ropa negra, vienen patches y pins. The music is fast and I circle in anger. We scream con todas ganas. Mis lentes se quiebran and it's not good for school. The teachers, they put on the movies de los maestros de LA. LA está lejos y los maestros están cansados. Crean que nos va a dar motivación to change. They must think we don't want to change. But I have changed too much que perdí mis raíces. Pues casi. Les da pena, me dicen, nothing can ever be like it was. ¿Pura vergüenza to have led me here? I don't think so. I am one. Soy perdido. That's me.
Mariposas, las nubes, el viento y el sol. Quiero moverme por el mundo sin temor. I came as a child, didn't have a say in the way. I've been here my whole life, Rosa Maria. My mother taught me to be brave. In search of a better life, we had to learn to survive. Como mariposas, las nubes, el viento y el sol. Quiero moverme por el mundo sin temor. I just can't stand it, how it feels to be trapped alive by a system of borders that held capitalism right. I know that I can be free until we are no, this is nothing. We can change it, me and you. las nubes, el viento y el sol. Quiero moverme por el mundo sin temor.
El mentado race o las carreritas. La tolerancia es el reconocimiento hacia entre nosotros. Es aprender a escuchar a los demás, a comunicarse con ellos y entenderles, por muy diferentes que sean. Es el reconocimiento de la diversidad. Es estar abierto, abierta a otras formas de pensar y a otras formas de vida, con apertura provocada por el interés y la curiosidad, y dejar de rechazar lo desconocido. Es el reconocimiento de que ninguna cultura, nación o religión tiene el monopolio del conocimiento, la verdad. Es una forma de libertad, estar libres de prejuicios, libres de dogmas. La persona tolerante es dueña de sus opciones y opiniones, de su existir. ¿Raza? ¿Qué es raza? Creo que ese concepto ni siquiera biológicamente existe. Entonces, ¿es el race? La carrera jerárquica. Dejar un poquito más blanco donde quedó color indígena. Alimentarse de la mentira. Envenena. Nos aleja. Te siento lejos. Te siento muy lejos. Te veo diferente. Veo y te siento con un gozo especial. ¿Estás gozando de tus privilegios? Algunos de ellos han matado a algunas y algunos. Y ahora que ya lo sabes, ¿qué vas a hacer? ¿Te vas a disculpar? ¿O tal vez nos vas a victimizar? ¿Nos vas a ignorar? ¿Nos vas a detener? ¿Nos vas a olvidar? ¿Nos vas a matar? ¿Nos vas a dejar en paz?
The race, or the carreritas. Tolerance is recognition, acceptance of differences between us. It is learning to listen to others, to communicate with them and understand them. As different as they are, it is the recognition of diversity. It is being open to the other ways of thinking and other ways of life. With openness provoked by interest and curiosity, and stop rejecting the unknown. It is the recognition that no culture, nation, or religion it has the monopoly on knowledge or truth. It is a form of freedom, being free from prejudice, free from the dogmas. The tolerant person is the owner of the options and options of his or her existence. Race? What is race? I think the concept doesn't even exist biologically. So it's the race, the hierarchical race. Leave a little more white where the indigenous color was. Feeding on the lie, it poisons. It takes us away. I feel you far, far away. I see you different. I see and feel you with a special joy. You are enjoying your privileges. Some of them have killed some, and some of them have killed. And now that you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to apologize? Or maybe you're going to victimize us? Are you going to ignore us? Are you going to stop us? Will you forget us? Are you going to kill us? Are you going to leave us alone? Wait, I'm sorry. You okay? Yeah, okay. Have a good night. Basura, That's me. That's us. We're good. That was our presentation. Thank you. We are now ready to discuss the question we had suggested earlier. How many borders have you had to cross to be the person you dream of? ¿Cuántas fronteras? Para ser una que sí. Oiga.
Vamos a hacer un volteadito, ¿no? Para mí. Punten. Pero no pregunta.
How do we do this question part, everybody?
Ahí está. Sí, nos gustaría saber, ¿no? ¿Cuáles son las fronteras que ustedes han tenido que cruzar? Existen muchos tipos de migraciones, muchas formas de expresar esas migraciones y pues eso, ¿no? O sea, todos hemos estado en esos lugares, en esos puntos en los que tenemos que cruzar y aprender más, escuchar más al otro, ¿no? Okay. Aquí hay
An abusive home.
Ajá.
That's a very similar struggle that a lot of people face in leaving their countries, leaving their homes, right? Like that is definitely a kind of migration in a sense.
Because I have crossed only a few state borders.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's the thing about borders, right? They exist physically and they also exist in our minds and in our social structures and the systems we live in. Just in the sense of even thinking about what it is to be a worker, right? There's a different way we navigate how we are, how we work, I would say. Education. ¿Quieres hablar un poco de esas fronteras en education?
Pues creo que, I think that, no sé, qué les, creo que, I think that there is more people that can understand the things in English, and please help me if I'm like having problems with that. Personally, I think that education, employment, and relations is pretty difficult because everybody have their own boundaries. And this is what we are trying to explain, that when you are different, when you have a different accent, when you have a different looking, or when you have everything different, like how you was writing, like be in a different state or have to go out of your homes because you cannot stay there, no? So it's just a statement of change, of transformation, and of sharing this idea that is not a normal, because even the animals, no, and in general different species, they do that kind of movements. So also like trying to contact, or we can connect that ideas with a biology, you know, of
of the world, like how it's moving the ecosystems, and these like ideas of that we cannot. I think that is like completely about the education, like how we are educated for reach different opportunities in our lives, because I understand also that it's about to kind of fight for the place or for the spot where you want to grow, but it's not like for real necessarily reject or do not fear, like fear for somebody else. I don't know, for shared life, or for be neighbors or whatever, or even for breathe together, no?
Yeah, the fear is a real thing. Fear of the unknown is what a lot of the times keeps people from letting others in, but it also is one of the things that keeps us from moving forward and crossing those boundaries, those borders that we didn't choose to have necessarily. The idea that somebody chooses to be labeled by someone else is a very interesting concept when it comes to trying to live freely. And when we have these systems that are actually, government systems that stop us from changing the world around us, whether that's in the smallest ways on how much money we make by the hour, or where it is that we can work and what that means to work. Somebody being like a labor worker might be seen different as someone who is like a tech worker. Somebody who is an educator could be seen different than someone who is a politician. But all these things have their relationship in the world simultaneously. So I think that a lot of the times we do kind of migrate from being who we are in these places to we are in these places. In our own homes, sometimes we have the freedom and safety, sometimes we do not. So sometimes our home is where we are and we can be who we dream of. Sometimes we must leave our homes to be who we dream of because of the situations that we cannot control in the home.
How we are qualified. James, there is a hierarchy of orders.
Yeah, James, there's or Dooley asking how we are qualified. That's exactly it. I think we are kind of labeled outside of ourselves. For example, I migrated to the United States of America when I was just a baby. Not my choice. I didn't choose to be labeled illegal, but for most of my life, I grew up being illegal, undocumented, right? Illegal isn't really a term because no one is illegal. These are just the kind of structures, constructs that we create to humanize each other. And I think once we find that connection to our humanity with each other, we can really see a lot of us are really trying to move towards a better life along with each other.
And with this thing with James, there is a hierarchy of borders. What, like, I understand, but what you really means with that, like, if you can give us like some examples that you've been thinking that make you think all about this. Oh, here's a huge one.
Yeah, like it's a different thing to come from England to America.
Oh,
So if I'm coming from England, there's like all cups of tea and Prince Harry.
yes.
And as far as
yes, you are not dangerous or bad, no? like a Latin American, or I don't know. That's what you mean?
Sadly, yes, and it says something. It says something about perceptions of what borders mean that are beyond just the lines. It bleeds into prejudice and power.
How do you say, sadly? We can feel it, and even sometimes I feel shame of saying it, no? Like put it a name to some situations or just like name it. It's a quite a hard thing because it's it's like kind of like facing the situations and the realities, no? And for example, what I feel so hardly every day is that because I'm woman and because I'm Mexican, that means that that I have a lower value. That the people even ask me like, "Oh, you went to college?" It's like impossible, no? That somebody that have a different skin tone or have a different accent, they can do the things not so bad and not so bad. and these things, like, it's like shortly what we can see or what we can live. But sometimes with when I approach with somebody that I don't know, that they've been using different their tools, or they've been struggling more because they have like how Julio was saying me some days ago about the colorism, you know, like depending of the tone of your skin, like what you deserve or what not. Even I remember a research with database with the people, you know, like in general, what kind of jobs or opportunities you could have. You can even like put your data into this statistic program, and you can see like your possibilities of change your life. And I think that is like a really and a huge tool, like be a migrant, like move, because this means transform, means put in a position that the diversity of sharing and of doing more. Just sometimes I put like an R before evolving, no, revolve or evolving. So I think that that's one of the points, no, like it's so complicated, like in some way, but I'm agree, and I'm thankful in some way that you can see it, and I hope that you can empower people that that they are struggle with this position. And here is another comment that say, muchas gracias. I have to cross borders for being mujer, morena, chaparra, nieta de mi abuela, hija de mi madre, hermana de mis hermanas. Borders to use with my own voice. Doesn't matter the language. Even in Espanol, my voice was undermined for not incarnate the ideal image. In English, people call it that a nascent material borders for being an for being an immigrant in the US are by far terrorizing me. El miedo de ser deshumanizada, de ser violentada por el color de mi piel en el pueblo de gente blanca. Y sí, muchas gracias por compartirnos eso.
Había otro más, ¿no?
Era ese
This is another
ver si
comment.
me equivoqué. Sí, ¿no?
Says borders are meant to divide physically, and we divide, and be devised to access to resources. Also, why no borders? So important to bring people together and recognize our shared humanity and everyone's will to live and thrive. Also, borders so much about ownership, and no one really owns nature. Sets up a poor relationship to take care of the land. Well, that's true. I think that has to do with part of the hierarchy of who gets to be on the land and what it means to be a part of the land or use the land for progress. And the poem that was recited while Denise was doing the face makeup, you know, we asked race, is it like an actual race? And the concept of a race seems to be like whoever gets there first, whoever's on top gets what they want. But we're not all going in the same direction. We don't all want the same thing. And I think that if we all do go in the same direction, whoever gets there first might be able to get what they want. But whoever shows up at the end is gonna see the lens and somewhere to follow. So I think that, can we see more of Denise's face? Yeah. And I think that, yes.
Why? It's there. Sometimes I'm like in the corner.
And I think that this is a thing that happens where when we when even in our regular lives, when we come through, what we carry with us, what leaves behind a mark on us, whether it's physical or emotional or mental, we carry all these things forward, and a lot of the times those are also things that are used to define us. And but being an immigrant to me doesn't mean choosing one place. It means being a person in the world as we live through life. Every day we're constantly faced with different situations where we have to find out where we are, and sometimes it's really moving to see which borders are set in place for us that we don't get to. Any other questions or comments?
Si nos quieren compartir algo más, you want to share something more, something that you've been feeling, realizing, I don't know, an action that maybe you want to join with us, something like that. I don't know. It's welcome. I feel really thankful because it's one of the places where I can share these kind of things. Because if not, I even will feel like super insecure of showing my feelings, my videos and everything. So thank you so much for seeing them and listening them, and make this also this spot for doing it, no? And also join with us.
I always wonder how many borders I put on myself. It pervasive. It kind of, I feel like it comes into everything. Like I said, I didn't get to choose it, but because of that, it has shaped a lot of the way I see the world. And whether we are crossing or being crossed, I think that there's something important to acknowledge in that we are all just passing through, really. Let's see here, another comment says, love this. I worked with immigrants for 7 years in my community and am married to an immigrant family. I never made the connection to my story until this week.
Aisha has, we have some words from Aisha here.
Please.
Hey, I just wanted to, thank you for your beautiful poetry. And also, when I think about borders and boundaries, I often think about, like, in French, boundaries are la frontière, which is interesting because they're feminine, which I feel kind of complicated about the ownership of boundaries. But I love the idea that boundaries are also like a point of departure, that like the limitations that are set for us, fair or not, are like, I don't know, those things that sometimes we rail against and sometimes we are the precipice from which we get to disseminate what is true about ourselves.
I'm with you on that because, right, like as one of the comments mentioned earlier, someone migrated from an abusive household, and yeah, that is definitely a place from where we can find our history and what it means to move forward in life, and sometimes that means crossing those frontiers or las fronteras, no, leaving something that we know, whether or not we like it, and moving into something that we're going to learn about, because that's what happens.
And I think that with the concept of la frontera, for me, it's like geographical, no, like mainly and mental, in a way that cannot give you the chance of transforming yourself in the way how you need it. I think that is a pretty hard frustration to not be able to move where you think that you need to move. Because could, like how you say, could be like a border where even can protect you, no? Like your own body is like a own border that supposedly shouldn't anybody cross without permission, without consent. So with this idea, it like permit ourselves to be what we want or what we need to be, and understand that we can cross that borders, that never be have this like feel prohibited, no, in some place, in some spot, in some idea, because like really silly things, like the color of the skin, or like the language, the religion or the culture. Yeah, like the idea of embrace diversity. Yeah? So I think that it's important, the borders, but how we can use it and where we have to, and where we can move.
There's a comment here that says, I'm thinking about the statement in the piece at the beginning, which questions what kinds of privilege do each of us have that may take away from someone else's opportunities, and what actions I could take to benefit others, maybe more collaborative art to give light to more voices. That's a really interesting statement and question.
I try to make like that, like kind of poem or audio, like for trying to. I've been trying to make a research about immigration and how does it feel? No, more than just my feelings, or more than just what I don't know, like when I feel overwhelmed about the situation. And what I found is about like these important things, no, like tolerance. What does it mean, tolerance? About the fear and about privilege. I think that is really important things that mark us or like redefine that concept, of trying to be free. Because yes, actually, yes, if you think that you can like trying to polish better this situation, maybe we can hear one each other better, and see us without like, I don't know, with these glasses of borders of perfection. Yep, I don't know what.
Yesterday, when we were speaking, Denise asked me something. Well, like, what does that mean to define yourself as someone? And then she said, I'm not a perfect Mexican, and I'm not either, in so many different ways. And I think that when we create that kind of mentality, we limit ourselves in what it means to be just.
I forgot my hat. Like, oops.
Right, those kinds of things. And when it's like, where we are from defines only part of us, because that's not all we are, and part of the life is moving forward through those things. And I think that it's interesting to think about, yeah, just like, what does it mean to be a good whatever, and how we change those things, and what that actually really means, and how it's different per individual. We have another comment.
Yeah, look complicated, look like a difficult thing, no? Because we like to enjoy. We like to feel the power, no? Like, why not? Like, we are animals. Like, we would like to be the lion that would want. And this is also interested. I have complicated feelings about the privilege I feel, being able to move relatively freely in search of a better life. But also this is because no place I believe has been able to offer me a decent life. That is, I've not been able to build one in many places. You want to say something?
Well, I think that's an illusion that privilege will give us, that we are able to do these things, right, as we have been able to do in certain situations. And privilege can also kind of blind us to the reality that not everyone sees it the same. And folks with privilege can work to create space for folks without the same privileges, physical space, political space, space for the art and community needs. and desire. And I think that sometimes having a privilege also means not doing anything with it and letting someone else decide what it means for them to be or to inhabit the world as they want to. And that's where, again, it's like kind of the idea that we're kind of boxed into fit the specific role of what it means to be someone who is an immigrant or who has privilege. And I think that once we start breaking down those barriers and find that we can all really find ways to uplift each other through different means, right? Because as someone with a privilege who understands their privilege might see it as a tool for empowerment, but it could also be an eraser to other people. I think that it is definitely not a simple thing, but we have to acknowledge that some of the things we get to choose about ourselves, some of the things we do not. And I think that if we can realize that a lot of us don't get to choose most of what we are, we can really start to understand that we're all kind of in the situation of trying to live a life that we want.
I think that it's important to achieve actions, like for real, do something. It's like if you see that you have some kind of privilege, for example, me like a Mexican, like fortunately my father's put me in a situation where it's like you have to study something, and with this position in my mind, I know that I have a privilege if I compare with people that they don't know how to read or how to write or whatever. So I'm trying that with my knowledge on whatever, give the power to the people to express or to do or feel different, to do not feel that struggle. And I mean that struggle also means lives. I been like, I can say that I am a kind of refugee here because I've been having problems, political problems with militaries and any kind of violent issue that you can know about the feminicides in Mexico. And I know that I have also these struggles, but also I know that I can do something, not just for me, for other people. And that's what means privilege, no? Privilege for me is have the opportunity of eat every day, of have a place where to sleep. And this give me the sensation of feel calm. And in some point, probably maybe create something, create a video or have the opportunity to maybe share with you guys these things, like, for example, understand and speak a different language, even when it's not perfect, could be like this kind of rich. So yes, it doesn't have to be a really huge thing. It's like realize and act and just trying to see each other like a different thing that is nice, is cool, embrace it, embrace the diversity.
And I just wanted to mention one thing quickly about, since this is artist dismantling capitalism, I think it's important to acknowledge that that system of capitalism is one of the main issues that kind of drives a lot of these narratives and influences the decisions people make in acknowledging people as human beings. Because if we are only after whatever we're worth, we'll never really see ourselves for what we really are. And unfortunately, it pushes us a lot to put ourselves in situations we don't even want ourselves. I don't like capitalism. But we have to work with it right now until we do something different. It is what guides a lot of our lives right now. Yeah. Me neither.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Pues creo que yo me siento bastante satisfecha de
Yeah.
hablar.
I think we're good. We could keep talking, but I feel like we're ready to let this move on. And thank you for your inputs, for your questions, for your comments.
Yeah, for streaming with us all this time. Thank you so much for you here.
Yeah, and if you see me walking around on my bike and my wherever, and you want to talk about this stuff, let's do it. I think the more we normalize challenging these things in our everyday life, the faster we'll get to something.
Yeah, let's create something. Let us know. Maybe you can recognize me because now I'm looking so black. with my eyes and everything. But yes, like please like join to Centro del Pueblo to any kind of activities to. Yeah, I think that there is a lot of chances and opportunities to share more experiences with different people and feel that support also. Thank you. Que disfruten su domingo.
Enjoy it. I don't know.
Dice, muchas gracias chingones por esta presentación. Y dice, aquí habla de Brenda. ¿Qué dice? Es que me inventaron más, ¿no? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Your performances were fantastic and thank you for sharing. I love what you are doing. Keeping on, keeping on. Muchas gracias, chingones, por esta presentación, su corazón y su inteligencia. Los quiero mucho. Su vida es Fran la Brenda. Ahí está el link del Centro del Pueblo, que es https centro del pueblo, bueno, cdpueblo.com para que lo sigan.
That's cdpueblo.com.
Yeah. Thank you for your poetry and performance. I have found it visually stimulating to promote positive. Yeah.
Now to really clean it up.